Good morning. Hooray. Yay. Sweet. Right? Huh? Thursday. Our last day of the week. It's that time. It is that time. It is Thursday. We're doing the Thursday thing. Good morning, Karen. You're first. Congratulations. We're going to be talking some about 2020. What's up, Aiden? How are you? Am I sure it's Thursday? Yes, I am. I'm 100% sure. What's up, Toady? What's up, Dan? What's up, B-Dub? What's up, Inks? What's up, Sam? What's up, Reefer Revolution? What's up, Nick? Good to see everybody. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you. What's up, Justine? Hello, Frederick. Howdy, howdy, everybody. I hope we're all having a wonderful Thursday here in this this day of the year of our Lord 2019. What's up, Mr. Broken Ass? Good morning. Good morning, good morning. It's morning where I'm at. It might be afternoon where you're at. It might be evening. B-Dub, I heard some Mexican punk rock today. That's awesome. Send it over on Monday. We'll talk about it on Music Monday. Yeah. We're almost at 30. Once we're at 30, we will officially begin. What's up, Dan? How are you? Good to see you. Hi, Susan. I hope all is well. We got a lot to get to today. I'm probably not going to get to everything, but I'm going to get to as much as I can. You know the drill. Good afternoon, all. Ron, I've been watching your stand-up. That's cool, Chris. I'm glad to hear that. Hope you've been enjoying it. Can't wait to see you in person. The Shags. You know what? I'm not familiar, Dan. I'm not familiar with that band. What's up, Jefferson? How are you? Hope everyone has a cool weekend planned. I actually have a pretty low-key weekend planned, to tell you the truth. Not much exciting stuff. Just sort of like, cool. That's what I got going on. Just, that's my weekend. Great White Shark. I am not coming to Kansas City as of right now, but there will be more dates. We're still working on the rest of 2019, so it's definitely on the list. But what's up, Kat? How are you? It's raining in St. Louis right now. What up, Jinxana? Ron, you keep my brain functioning. You make me think. Thank you, Justine. That's very kind of you to say. We are over 30. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys send me ideas. We talk about it. And that's how we build the show. It's Thursday. We always talk about something fun on Thursday. So let's kick into it. So I guess I wasn't very good at, or I don't know if very good is the way to put it, but I guess I was kind of obvious on Twitter that I'm not a huge fan of Andrew Yang, because a couple people have asked me about it, both on Twitter and in person and on other shows, about my thoughts on Andrew Yang. And yeah, truth be told, I'm not impressed by Andrew Yang. I know some people are convinced by him. I am not, for a number of reasons. First of all, I was never that big on Andrew Yang. When he did the interview on the Jimmy Dore show, I liked him significantly less, a lot less, actually, for a number of reasons. So here is the main rundown of why I'm not impressed by Andrew Yang. First of all, he's against minimum wages. He's against living wages. He's straight up against it. Second of all, he's against free college. Third of all, he's for a UBI, but he's not for it for any type of comprehensive plan, with any type of comprehensive plan. I'm not completely against the concept of a UBI. However, for something like a UBI to work, you need a social safety net, which we don't have. You need extensive rent control, which we do not have. We don't have any of that. So when Andrew Yang promotes a UBI, he's not promoting it in the sense that this is going to help us. He's promoting it in the sense that, hey, poor people, I'm going to give you money. Love me. Because Andrew Yang comes from privilege. His dad had something like 69 patents. He's a big tech mogul, which, by the way, he has a soft spot for big tech. He has no interest in doing anything about Amazon or Facebook. He doesn't think Jeff Bezos or any organization like that's a problem. In fact, he doesn't care how they treat their employees. Why do you think he has a soft spot for big tech? He has a soft spot for big tech because that's his circle. Big tech is his circle. Those are his peers. If that's his circle and he has a soft spot for them, imagine if you put Andrew Yang in the White House and his circle becomes the military-industrial complex and the donor class. Who do you think he's going to cater to then? I'll give you one guess. So that's Andrew Yang. He's a phony. If Andrew Yang is a progressive, Pat Boone is a heavy metal artist. To make a music reference for you. So that's why I'm not impressed by Andrew Yang. And so, yeah. I think that... I mean, I discussed this on a different show. I would rank Andrew Yang, and he's not the worst out of the Democratic candidates. Don't get me wrong. He's not the worst. There are worse than him. But I would say he is... I would take Elizabeth Warren over Andrew Yang. Because I think Andrew Yang is more dishonest than she is. I don't like either. I don't want to have to make that choice. But I'm just saying for the sake of you know, where we're at. I would say Andrew Yang is even worse than Elizabeth Warren. I would take Warren over Yang. So, yeah. There you go. Andrew Yang, he reminds me of that guy who is... He's a libertarian. Like, he's basically a libertarian that, you know... Maybe a progressive broke his heart or something, so he's entertaining this idea that he's progressive, but he's not at all. That's Andrew Yang to me. So, I don't know. I mean, some people are convinced he's the real deal. I don't see how you can be convinced by that. I don't see how you can be convinced that Yang's the real deal. He's really not that much different from Howard Schultz. He's just a Howard Schultz that has a few better ideas that he claims he's okay with. And I say he claims because I don't think he's a very trustworthy candidate. Again, when you see where his soft spots are, you know, you really don't think that if Big Pharma really got in this guy's ear, he wouldn't waffle on Medicare for all. With how sensitive he is to big tech already, because that's his circle. So, yeah, Yang, I am not convinced. But here's someone else that I'm starting, you know, I've only looked into a little bit. And I like what he's doing here. So Mike Gravel announces run for president to get into the debates, not to win. Former Senator Mike Gravel of Alaska announced a presidential campaign this week, saying his sole intention is to appear on the debate stage, not win the nomination. Senator Mike Gravel has officially filed to run for president. Our only aim is pushing the field left by appearing in the Democratic debates. Donate as little as you like, but help us get to the necessary 65K donors. So he's a staunch anti-imperialist who served in the Senate from 1969 to 1981, ran for president in 2008, first as a Democrat before later joining the Libertarians. His announcement follows calls from college-age supporters for Gravel to jump into the race to help push the contenders further to the left. So he'd be considered a long shot. And I don't know a ton about him. Staffers for Gravel have already had to push back on reports that he is a 9/11 truther, as well as claims that he was linked to an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist, including a Holocaust denier. So this is my first exposure to that. I can't speak to that one way or another. I don't know. I don't know any details about that. Again, this is, you know, I've not read much into Gravel. What I do know is that he is staunchly anti-war, and I do think it's good for anti-war voices to be on the debate stage. So that's something that he's doing. And, of course, other candidates doing that, Marianne Williamson. And then, of course, you got Andrew Yang. And then you got Tulsi, who's getting close to that 65. And that's pretty much a 2020 update for you. But, a lot of people have been asking me my thoughts on Yang ever since he did that appearance on the Jimmy Dore show. And, my long and short on him is I was never really that convinced by him. And I after that interview, I liked him significantly less. Some of his fans were saying, give him another chance on the Jimmy Dore. I'm like, what do you want? They talked about policy for 45 minutes. What's going to change? What's he going to do with his second chance? Is he just going to straight up lie and not actually represent how he feels about stuff? By the way, he has no plan for jobs either, by the way. He has no plan at all. And people are like, well, he's a businessman. He knows how business works. Yeah, his dad had 69 patents. He was born into this. And I'm not going to say that automation doesn't have a place in the conversation. It does. That's totally fair. And he can probably speak to automation better than I can. Of course he can. But you want to tell me that in our country where we have failing infrastructure, where we desperately need an extensive rail system, where we desperately need solar and a Green New Deal and wind, where we desperately need to reshape the way education is had in this country. We have all these needs, and we desperately need a Green New Deal. You want to tell me that wouldn't come with a plethora of jobs, a buttload of jobs? It would. There's no reason why we can't put everybody to work in this country for a living wage. There's no reason why we can't do that. We can. So, yeah. All right. Let's move on to other fun things, shall we? I guess we'll stick with 2020 here for a little bit before we jump on to something else. So here we go. Creepy Uncle Joe. 3 more women come forward with allegations against Biden after pledge to change behavior. 3 additional women came forward on Wednesday to say former Vice President Joe Biden touched them in ways that made them uncomfortable shortly after Biden, in a 2-minute video, pledged to be more mindful of women's personal space. The women, Vail Connert-Yant, Sophie Kazarak, and Ali Cole, recounted instances in which they say Biden touched them in a Washington Post article published late Wednesday. By the way, Joe Biden, I mean, at this point, with all these allegations, the Trump administration already has the guest list set for the debates if Joe Biden is the nominee. They already have that set. They know who's going to be there if Joe Biden's the nominee. Creepy Uncle Joe. Creepy. And this is just another, for instance, of Joe Biden being disconnected. And the apologists for him, really? Really? First of all, we got a real lesson from the Mick Resistance this week. The big lesson from the Mick Resistance this week was, believe all women unless they say something about a politician we like. Then, all of a sudden, and then they flipped it on Bernie. They blamed Bernie's staff for this, by the way. And then they said, well, what about the harassment in Bernie's camp? Oh, you mean when he apologized for it profusely, didn't know it had went on, and since then his staff has unionized to try to prevent something like that from happening in the future, and he has given that his blessing? Whereas, by the way, when there was harassment in the Clinton campaign, the person responsible was promoted, and the person who was the victim was told to shut up when that happened in the Clinton campaign. Oh, and Amy Klobuchar throws staplers at her staff. Oh, it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Like in the Mediterranean, they're more affectionate. You know where Joe Biden's from? Delaware. That's where Joe Biden's from. Is that a cultural thing? Is that a Delaware thing? That's Delaware. They're just a little more touchy-feely, and they have bank call centers. That's what they do in Delaware. They just hug and then go, let's collect debt. Let's collect some money for CEOs. That's just what they do there. It's a cultural thing. No, it's not a cultural thing. It's Joe Biden's completely disconnected. He understands he has power, and he's creepy. That's a fair accolade to put on him. He's creepy. I know, creepy's a bit. No, he's creepy. And, you know, I feel like this is just the icing on the cake of why he should not be the nominee in 2020. And if he is, Trump won. I mean, if Joe Biden is the nominee, there's no way. And you can blame me because, I mean, I guarantee if Joe Biden's the nominee, I'm voting for the Green Party candidate. I'm not voting for Joe Biden. I'm not going to do it. And no matter what I do or anyone else does, Trump's going to win. I'm one vote in California. I understand what the Electoral College is, so I'm not going to give my vote to such a terrible candidate. And no matter what I would do, Joe Biden would lose anyway. There's no way Joe Biden would win. And I have a feeling, you know, this has been in the news now for about a week. I think he's done. I really do. I don't think he's going to run at this point. But we'll see what happens. I mean, you never know. It's hard to project the narcissism of a politician. It really, and this is coming from someone in show business, by the way. This is coming from somebody in show business. The fact that I can look at a Beto O'Rourke and be like, that's one of the most narcissistic things I've ever fucking seen in my life. That's coming from a comedian who is in show business. I mean, between working on a political comedy show and being in show business, I mean, I am around so many self-absorbed personalities all the time. And I lump myself into this. You have to have a certain amount of, you have to have a certain amount. I don't know if narcissism is the right word for it. Maybe that's a little harsh, but you have to do something like this, you have to have a certain amount of kind of being into yourself, because you have to, every day you have to wake up and tell the world, hey, I need to be relevant. I got to be relevant because I'm relevant, I think. I'm trying to be. Like, you got to do that. So you got to have a little bit of it. I think there's such thing as a healthy amount of it. My point is, it's hard to dive into the narcissism of a politician at the level of a Joe Biden. I would say he is probably not quite at a Clinton level. So I have a feeling he's not going to run. Would I be shocked if he did? No, I wouldn't be shocked. But I have a feeling this is sort of the nail in the neoliberal coffin. But we'll see. We'll see. So 3 more women. 3 more women for Creepy Joe. All right. So let's go to some good news. We actually have a lot of good news. Let's do bad news first then. You know what? We're going to do bad news first. Then we're going to do good news. Then I'm going to go to you guys. And then it's another week here. I Get Your News On With Ron. So here's some bad news. And this takes us to Tennessee. I used to call Nashville, Tennessee home. After massive fire at famous Civil Rights Center, officials found a white power symbol nearby. All right, so what happened here? After a fire burned down the main building of a storied Civil Rights Center in Tennessee last week, the center's organization has said that a symbol associated with the white power movement was found in the parking lot next to the rubble of the building. The Highland Center, which hosted civil rights figures including the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Stokely Carmichael in the 1950s and 60s, made the disclosure on its Facebook page Tuesday. No one was injured, but the fire destroyed the office, which housed what the center said was decades' worth of historical documents. Oh, that sucks. Speeches, artifacts, and other memorabilia from its history, including the era of the civil rights movement. The Wisconsin Historical Society, which is the center's official archivist, said that a majority of its archives are safe. Well, that's good. That's good. It really sucks that they lost some significant stuff, but it's good that a lot of the archives are still safe. That's good. This still is horrible. Obviously, this is atrocious news, but that's good that at least some of the archives are safe. And the other good thing here, to try to look at the positive, nobody got hurt. That's the most important things. materials are still materials. Even those which have historical and sentimental value, they are still things compared to human beings. You know what I mean? It still sucks a lot, but it's more important nobody got hurt. So, that's my way of trying to insert a little optimism. But all right, let's go on and see more what happened. We do not know the names of the culprits. We know that the white power movement has been increasing and consolidating power across the South, across this nation, and globally. So the center, which consists of about 10 buildings on a 200-acre campus in Newmarket, 20 miles east of Knoxville, was the site of a blaze that started early Friday morning. By 6 a.m., the center's main office building was engulfed in flames. The fire is being investigated by the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and state fire investigators. Its origin has not been determined. Jefferson County Sheriff Jeff Coffey, his name's Jeff, and it's Jefferson County. There's so many tongue twisters just naturally in the news. I think they do that on purpose. They're like, we don't want YouTubers reading this shit. We're going to throw some tongue twisters in there to get them. All right, Jefferson County Sheriff Jeff Coffey, who did not return a request for comment, told the Knoxville News-Sentinel that the graffiti was a hashtag-like symbol discovered at the scene Friday. It's not a traditional throw-it-in-your-face symbol that you would immediately recognize, Coffey told the newspaper, but it has been used by individuals in the past. We have seen this symbol associated with different groups. My name is Jeff. I work in Jefferson, and I start my morning with coffee. By the way, what's my last name? Coffee. I'm sure I might be mispronouncing the dude's name. But that'd be cool. He's like, hey, you know me, Jeff. See what I did there? See, Jeff. All right. So I bumped the mic there. I apologize. All right. So they're talking about this symbol. Chelsea Fuller, a spokeswoman for Highlander, told the Associated Press that the symbol looks like a tic-tac-toe board. All right, so I think there's a... All right, so there's a picture of this symbol. Let's go ahead and show it. And I hope that... All right, so this is the symbol in question right here. That's the symbol in question. So it kind of looks like a hashtag. My borders, my choice. Wow. That, and this person screwed up their swastika. They screwed up drawing a swastika. That I wonder if they met. I wonder if the White Power meetup got together. It was like, whose job was it to do the swastika? You forgot the other line. You missed it. Yeah. So that looks like a screwed up tic-tac-toe board. And I guess that, those are the symbols that they found there. So, I mean, it's very likely a white supremacist group was behind this. I mean, that's, more than likely the cause. They don't know the exact source of it yet, but based on everything they found there, we can safely conclude they're behind this. And I love Knoxville as a town, and as I'm reading this article, which, this is Get Your News On with Ron, I'm reading this for the first time. This is my first time hearing that this happened. And as I'm reading this article, I'm picturing Knoxville in my head. I'm picturing what a cool city it is, and I'm thinking about the people I know that live there. And when you go to places like that, I'm one of those people. I have a lot of love in my heart for this country as a whole. I really do. I've traveled extensively for the better part of a decade at this point, and the more I travel around the country, the more optimistic I become. It's had that effect on me, because I realize we're not as different as the media tells us we are. We're not as, we just get these polarizing messages on a daily basis. And we feed on that. And it's not anybody's fault, per se. I mean, it's the fault of our horrible media system. And it's kind of a reflection on we're just such a big, big country. And in many ways, still a new experiment as we know it. And I say as we know it because, we didn't find the United States. There were people here first. And, what we did was terrible. But the experiment, as far as we know it and have been, we're part of it. We were all born into it. And, when I travel around, I realize we're not as different as we're told. And there are amazing pockets everywhere throughout this country where you'll find open-minded people, where you'll find compelling and interesting people. And that's why, the Progressive Comedy Tour, Graham Elwood and I, we're trying to go everywhere. We did a show in Mississippi. We are trying to go to as many places in this country as we can, doing one region at a time. And we're going to Texas next. We're not just hanging out in the blue states. We're going all over the place. And so my reason for bringing this up is it's really hard to see when I've been to Knoxville a lot, and I know a lot of great people there, and they're trying to make it better. They want to really make their Tennessee town great. And then you hear about stuff like this. And it just really sucks. And you really think, man, it's and I know what it feels like to kind of live in a blue dot in a red sea, so to speak. I do know what that feels like. And how it feels, and I know a lot of you experience this too. I know a lot of you live in different places all over the country, all over the world even. You need to be reminded that you're not alone a lot of the time. You need to be reminded that, there's other people that want the same things as you, that think the same as you, that just want a more, that just want a decent society for everybody. And then hateful things like this happen. And, there's a certain, it's kind of a punch in the gut. And the thing to remember is that something like this can happen anywhere. It can, I live in Los Angeles. There's a big problem with white supremacy here. There's a big problem with that in Los Angeles. There always has been. Los Angeles is such a huge place. You're gonna get a little bit of everything, the good and the very bad. So, but when it happens in a place that's a little more, hey, we're really trying. A place like Tennessee that's, is not, certainly not known as a progressive utopia by any means. It's just a big punch in the gut. It's a big punch in the gut, but, the upside of that is it's also it's a reminder to keep trying. And, I personally was at a point where, a couple years ago, I thought I was likely going to live in Nashville for the rest of my life, due to my personal life at the time. I kind of thought I'm going to be living in Nashville forever, and I was okay with that. I liked it there. I was happy there. And I thought, I really want to try to make this a better place. Nashville was becoming more like Austin. It still is, as far as, politically. It was getting, more and more to the left. And I really wanted to, be part of that and, push Nashville left and really make it a, it's already a wonderful city. It always has been. But, to try to do my little part to make it even better. And, whenever you would get this reminder that you're still kind of in a sea of red and still, the like-minded folks are out there. There's a lot of good people out there, and there's a lot of people that want to hear your ideas, but you still got a long way to go because there's a lot of muck to get through. If we had a different media in this country, our conversations would be so different. They'd be so different. I know I hark on that theme a lot, but it's because it's an issue that I've studied for years, and just we'd be having such a different conversation, just such a crazy different conversation. So let's see if there's anything more of the article. I know I got a little sidetracked there. So they found these white supremacist symbols. White supremacist groups have made incursions into Tennessee, according to the Institute for Research and Education on Human Rights, which tracks hate groups. A rock on the campus of the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, where students are encouraged to paint, has been defaced by white supremacist graffiti multiple times in recent years. In early 2018, the rock was painted with hate symbols. So that was the rock on campus. The state has been the target for several white supremacist rallies. It makes it even tougher when it's a rock that's meant for expression and creativity in an institute of higher learning, and then it's defaced by something awful like that. And that hurts the student body, it hurts the city, it hurts the state, it hurts the country, really, So this sucks. I hope they find those responsible. And it really sucks that some important pieces of history were lost. But to end on something somewhat uplifting, the most important thing is nobody got hurt. No one got hurt. That's huge. So, all right. Wishing you all the best, Knoxville, through this difficult time. All right, well, that was the bad news. Fortunately, we got some good news. Let's go over to net neutrality. If you guys recall, yesterday on the stream, they were in the full committee. They were deliberating in the full committee as we were streaming. We thought they're probably not going to have any results until after our stream is over. So we might not have an update. Well, we do have an update now. And guess what? It passed the full committee intact. A clean bill passed the full committee. It's going to the House as early as next week. Let's see what's going on. This is from Evan Greer. Some of you guys might remember Evan when she was on the show. If you haven't checked out my interview with Evan, please do. She was a fantastic guest. Yeah. I said it like guest. Like she guessed something. She was a fantastic guest. We talked about her record, which comes out, I think tomorrow. Is tomorrow the 5th? Yeah, tomorrow's the 5th. Her record comes out tomorrow. It's fantastic. I got to preview it. It's great. Pick it up. Evan Greer. And check out the interview with her on my page. But Fight for the Future gave an update. We won this one again. Let's go to her release and Fight for the Future's release. Today, the Save the Internet Act, H.R. 1644, passed a crucial vote in the House Energy and Commerce Committee, despite a wave of disingenuous attempts by telecom-funded lawmakers to derail the bill or gut its key protections with bad amendments. The bill was reported out of the committee largely unscathed and will now head to the House floor as early as next week. Digital rights group Fight for the Future has been leading an online campaign to assure the bill's passage. So here's what Evan had to say. Telecom lobbyists should just give up now. Despite ISP giants like Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T spending hundreds of millions of dollars on lobbying, misinformation campaigns, and buying influence through campaign contributions, they've failed to fool the public, and efforts to restore net neutrality are moving forward. It's embarrassing watching telecom shills in these committee votes attempt to turn this into a partisan issue when it's actually quite simple. The overwhelming majority of voters from across the political spectrum want Congress to do their jobs and restore these basic protections that never should have been taken away in the first place. The Save the Internet Act would do exactly that. Bolstered by internet activism and massive public attention, net neutrality supporters of the Energy and Commerce Committee successfully defeated a swath of terrible amendments that would have completely gutted H.R. 1644. Two amendments did pass, one that simply clarifies the initial intent of the bill, and one that creates a one-year exemption from transparency requirements for small ISPs, that's internet service providers with less than 100,000 subscribers. While such an exemption is unnecessary, given that many small ISPs say they are happy to comply with such requirements, the amendment is closely aligned with the intent of the 2015 Open Internet Order and does not undermine the core protections within the bill. So, yeah, basically, small ISPs are not the culprits here. The culprits are AT&T, Comcast, Verizon. Small ISPs are mostly the internet service providers that exist to fight this stuff in the first place anyway. The city-owned co-ops and stuff like that. So those amendments, I think, are fine. So the bill went through largely unscathed. What does this mean? Okay, so it went through the subcommittee unscathed. It went through the full committee unscathed. That means it goes to the House next. There's a good chance it will pass the House. There is not a good chance it will pass the Senate. And if it were, there's likely Trump wouldn't sign it. I don't think Trump would sign it. I think maybe with enough public pressure, and if the FCC just kind of backed off, maybe he. I doubt it though. I'd say there's about. I say there's an equal unlikelihood that it won't get through to the Senate or to Trump's desk. But yeah, I'd say it's unlikely that either of those scenarios would happen. I mean, obviously it doesn't get to the Senate, it won't get to Trump's, but you know what I mean. So the good news though is that the public is speaking, they're speaking loud, and because of all this, the internet service providers' hands are tied in doing anything about net neutrality. Meaning they can't price gouge the internet from us. They can't hijack our connection with cable 2.0 packages. They can't create fast lanes and slow lanes. They can't offer paid prioritization. They can't do any of that stuff because it's being battled out in the courts in various states, and we are fighting on this level as well. And the public is speaking. And the elected officials are forced to listen. I mean, this is something that over 80% of citizens want. 80% of citizens want net neutrality. And that number is growing because more people are being made aware of the issues. Municipal broadband is growing across the country because people are realizing we got to take the internet out of the corporations' hands and put it into the hands of the cities. And that's something I'm fighting to do here in Pasadena. It's been a long climb, but I'm working on it. And this is good news. It passed the full committee, and it passed unscathed. That is huge news. And shout out to Fight for the Future, who's been working so hard on this on the front lines. Shout out to Free Press, who's been working so hard on the front lines, and the Center for Media Justice. And I know the EFF. I know I'm not remembering every organization out there, but the one thing that's very uplifting here, there are a lot of organizations committed to digital rights and internet freedom and freedom of the press, and they're all doing very, very great work. And I try to highlight as many of them as I can on this show to be another platform. And it's a good thing they're around. You know, it's... Fortunately, there's still some of us that are doing what we can, trying to save net neutrality, because if we don't, the free and open internet as we know it will be gone. It will be taken away. So this is a victory. There's still a long way to go, but it's another victory. It's another battle that we won. And we'll see what happens in the House. I have a feeling this will not be signed by Donald Trump, obviously, but it's still good because it's still tying the hands of the big cable companies, because they can't do something if it's just going to be rolled back. So this is good. There's still a long way to go. And in the interim, remember, the way to end the metaphorical war for the free and open internet is to take the internet out of big cable's hands. And we can do that one community at a time by building our own city-owned internet. And I know a lot of you are working on that. I'm working on it myself. It's not an easy feat. It's not an easy feat, but it's not impossible. And it's essential. All right. So that's a net neutrality update. We had a win. That's good. Wins are cool. All right. Some more pretty cool news here. Check this out. The House ignores Trump's veto threat and approves bill ending U.S. support for the Yemen war. The House passed a resolution Thursday. So I think that's today. Yeah, that's today. The House passed a resolution Thursday to end U.S. military support for the Saudi-led war in Yemen, sending it to President Trump's desk and likely forcing him to issue the second veto of his presidency. The resolution passed 247 to 175, with 16 Republicans siding with Democrats. Wow. Wow, there you go. So, largely support for the wars is a bipartisan thing. Republicans and Democrats, they all love the wars, but it looks like there's a bipartisan anti-war movement going on, even amidst elected officials. As Bob Dylan would say, the tides, they are a-changin'. Not bad. All right. So 16 Republicans sided with Democrats. Thursday's vote was the first time since the War Powers Act was passed, and whoa, that jumped on me. Did you guys see that? Oh, it's because of the video. Thursday's vote was the first time since the War Powers Act was passed in 1973 that both chambers of Congress passed a resolution using that law that would... No, shut the fuck up. Using that law, and was a culmination of a years-long effort propelled in recent months by lawmakers' fury at Saudi Arabia over the killing of U.S.-based journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The resolution, which will require Trump to withdraw U.S. military forces in or affecting Yemen unless they are fighting al-Qaeda, gained considerable momentum after Khashoggi's killing last year. Representative Ro Khanna, the measure's chief House sponsor, said that his motivation for the bill was very simple. I don't want to see 14 million Yemenis starve to death, he said. Khanna told reporters after the vote he continues to hold out hope Trump will sign the measure, given some of his top allies, such as Representative Mark Meadows, were among the Republicans who supported it. And let's keep in mind, Trump ran as a non-interventionist. Trump said he was going to end the wars. It was a lie. He hasn't done that. And even on the few good things he was going to do, he's backpedaled. As far as war goes. On Syria, he backpedaled. Afghanistan, he backpedaled. He'll say some nice things occasionally and then backpedal. So this is the one chance, this is another chance, rather, that he has to actually be the non-interventionist he said he was going to be. This is Donald Trump. You can trust him as far as you can throw him. So I have a feeling he's not going to, but this would be an opportunity for him to actually make good on one campaign promise and actually do something about ending the wars. I doubt he will, and when he doesn't, that'll come up in 2020. The fact that, he didn't succeed on Syria, he didn't succeed on Afghanistan as far as getting the troops out. And if he bails on this is just yet another, for instance, on how, hey, that whole non-interventionist thing was a lie. And hopefully his opponent is an actual progressive. So, opponent of the measure argue it is unnecessary since the Trump administration suspended the U.S. military's aerial funding of Saudi coalition aircraft in November. They further argue it would embolden Iran. I hope everyone who cares about the people of Yemen understands that the legislation in the past did not remotely benefit them. Indeed, it will work to their detriment, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told the House Foreign Affairs Committee last week. I hope you guys realize if we stop assisting in this genocide, that won't benefit you. Hope you realize that. Mike Pompeo. That's some Pompeo logic for you. All right. A handful of lawmakers have been sounding the alarm for years about riders' behavior in the 4-year-old civil war in Yemen, where Saudi Arabia is leading a coalition against Iran-backed Houthi rebels. Coalition airstrikes have been blamed for thousands of civilian deaths, as well as exacerbating a cholera epidemic and the risk of famine. The United States supports the coalition with logistics, intelligence sharing, and arms sales. All right. So it will likely not override Trump's likely veto. The Yemen resolution passed neither the House nor the Senate with enough support to override Trump's likely veto. So I guess it depends on who... I guess it depends on if any of the Republicans that are in support actually have Trump's ear or not. I guess we'll find out. And I don't think they do. I mean, his cabinet is all, pro-war people. So he will veto. I think he will likely veto it. I think there's a very slim chance he won't. Maybe, I don't know, like maybe a 5% chance he won't veto it. I don't know. Is that fair? I'd say like there's a 5% chance, maybe. That's being optimistic, I think. But you got to stay positive, said the Hold Steady. But this is still good. This is still good news that this pressure is being put on, that there is bipartisan support for something like this. Something like this meaning ending wars. So hopefully this trend continues. This is a little bit of good news. And, let's hope for the best, although it is likely Trump will veto this. But it's good that it's moving forward. It's still good that it's moving forward. All right. So here's a little bit of news over in Chicago. So check this out. Chicago's new Democratic Socialist City Council members can change the city's politics. So the mayor's race wasn't the only historical election there Tuesday night. Chicago voters made history Tuesday night in more ways than one. While national headlines have understandably pointed out to the election of Lori Lightfoot as the first black female mayor in Chicago history, the runoff election saw another development that will transform the city's political landscape: the victory of a block of Democratic Socialist City Council members. At least 3 open Democratic Socialists, Byron Sigcho Lopez, Jeanette Taylor, and Andrew Vasquez, won their elections. Another, Rosanna Rodriguez Sanchez, is in first place in her race, though votes are still being counted. All of these candidates were endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America and are set to join 2 other Democratic Socialists, Carlos Ramirez Rosa and Daniel Esparta, elected to the city council during the first round of voting in February. This is no small feat. With socialism rising in popularity across the country, as illustrated by the explosive growth of DSA in recent years, figures like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have pushed left-wing policies once considered fringe, such as Medicare for all and free college tuition, into the national spotlight. But never in modern U.S. history has a slate of Democratic Socialists taken power in a major American city. And that is because people are mobilizing locally and people are ready for change. The DSA is growing. It's a lot of young people. Who's the largest voting bloc? Millennials, who are flocking to things like the DSA and flocking away from the two-party duopoly. So tell me again how only a centrist can beat Trump. Tell me again how we need a centrist. How the party can't veer too far to the left. We all know that's nonsense. We all know that there is local situation after local situation to disprove that. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my hometown, 2 card-carrying DSA members got on the city council. And they beat one of the biggest political dynasties in the area, the Costa family. Who the Costas, they're basically the Clintons of Western Pennsylvania. In some ways, they're even more annoying, if you can imagine that. They got defeated by DSA members. Every time you turn on the corporate media and you hear, oh, the party can't go too far to left, that is their ivory tower bubble speaking. It does not represent the country. The problem is we're not talking to each other quite enough, so there's a lot of people that still buy that bullshit. There's a lot of people that this coming primary are still going to vote for a candidate that they think is the safe bet. That's the centrist bet. That's still going to happen. So we got to continue to be as loud as we can on every level imaginable. Because, if you're looking around your own backyard and you think, gee, my city council has a bunch of DSA members on it, maybe people really are hungry for change. And maybe that's all around the country. It is. So congratulations, Chicago. I love you dearly. You are a wonderful city. And this is good news. And hopefully where the tally is still being counted, I hope that DSA member wins as well. And this is a little bit of good news. And it's another lesson that mobilize locally. Start locally. It happens from the ground up. This is the time to do what Joe Strummer trained us for. It's time to get in your lane and start going. So let me see what you guys are saying. And that's how we'll end the show. Slow News Day says, as a native Hoosier, I apologize for everything except Shannon Hoon. You know what? I saw somewhere that that Blind Melon's touring without Shannon Hoon. I got to look more into it. But I heard somewhere that they're actually touring. Well, we'll talk about this on another Music Monday, because I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm not. I like Shannon Hoon a lot. I never got to see Blind Melon before Shannon Hoon passed, but I saw something, and I'm basing this off of, I saw a poster for Blind Melon, in my neighborhood. There's this venue down the street from me, and apparently Blind Melon's coming. But it's like, well, that's Shannon Hoon's not there, obviously. We'll talk about that another Music Monday. But yeah, there you go. Okay, so Daniel confirms they are in fact touring. Daniel mentions he's not a fan of the new guy. Those are some pretty big shoes to fill. Those are some big shoes to fill. I don't know. Nick, as a Chicago resident and activist, this has been a very exciting few days. It's finally a fruition after lots of work and many losses. Nick, thank you for doing what you do. And congratulations. And you should enjoy it. Take a minute or two to enjoy it. Muscow gives us some breaking news. Tim Ryan announced he's running for president. We'll look more into that on Monday. They're trying to make the bench as deep as they can so they can force it to a second ballot so that the superdelegates can come in and stop a progressive. That's what they're doing. They're doing the same thing the Republicans tried to do to Donald Trump. The Republican establishment didn't want Donald Trump. That doesn't mean Donald Trump was good. Donald Trump's terrible. So is the Republican establishment. They're both terrible. But they wanted, their kind of usual puppet. They were worried Trump was not going to be that guy. So they flooded the marketplace, so to speak. Now the Democrats are trying to do the same thing to prevent a progressive. Celeste, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution and treats for Lucy. I will use them as such, as treats for Lucy. Guys, we are out of time. Let me go grab Lucy because I promised I would. Hey, Lucy, it's that time. It's in your contract. Come here, sweetie. I know. You were lounging. This was lounging time. Got interrupted. Come here, sweetie. I know. There she is. Hi, everybody. Become a patron. I write a dialogue over there. There's also some new exciting news about me coming real soon. Meow. There you go. She's chilling. See? This other cat, I don't know if, can you hear the other cat? This other cat, I'm pretty sure is calling her. And she doesn't give a shit. Like at one point, she was just right at the window. And this other cat, I'm pretty sure this other cat is calling her. You probably couldn't hear it. I don't think the mic picked it up. But this other cat calls Lucy. Why don't you want to make a friend? I think she's a little older and she's like, I don't know what you need. But I got a nice setup here. I'm happy. I like my guy. That's referring to me. That's what I want to say, she's thinking. But she just does not even acknowledge this cat. One time, this cat was meowing late at night. This was actually at my old place. And I woke up from it. Lucy woke up from it too, but she woke up from it after me. And then she just looked up and she was just and just went back to sleep. She fell asleep before I did. And I was like, this is your species. They're doing that because you're here. They know you're in here. But you didn't give a shit, did you? Meow. All right, guys, we are out of time. Some tour dates coming up. Texas, get your tickets. April 12th through 15th. Don't wait. Get those tickets. Graham Elwood and I are going to be in Fort Worth. We're going to be in Houston. We're going to be in San Antonio. We're going to be in Austin. Tickets available at romflacone.com. May 1st, I'll be in Indianapolis. April 19th, first house show of the year, Boulder Creek, California. Email me if you want to attend that show, romflacone.com. Indianapolis, May 1st. Tickets available now. May 11th through 13th, Graham Elwood and I are going to be in Salt Lake City and Boise for the Progressive Comedy Tour and a live political vigilante. Looking forward to seeing you, Utah. In June, we're heading to the East Coast. New Haven, Connecticut, New York City, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Boston. Get those tickets at ronplagone.com. And July 27th, Vegas, baby. We're going back to Vegas, Las Vegas, Nevada. We'll see you all out there. Tickets available at ronplagone.com. Thanks so much for another wonderful week. It's always a great week. We'll be back Monday. We don't do a Friday stream, but the podcast drops on Friday. If you missed anything this week, the podcast summarizes a lot of the news we talked about. I get it. You're bored. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm signing off. I'm just trying to mention that the podcast drops tomorrow. Really? That was too much? You have to yawn? You have to... Yeah, I get it. You don't like the podcast. I get it. You prefer it live. All right, Lucy. Sheesh. Everyone's a critic. Well, for those of you that care, the podcast tomorrow. Podcast drops tomorrow. Get your news on with Ron wherever you get your podcasts. It's on iTunes. You know the drill. I don't want to bore Lucy any further. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being the best executive producers in the business. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you Monday, same time, same channel.